Hi everybody, welcome to part 38 of the Curve Tri-Tail Tuner build. This is the beginning of day 10. I was up until like 3 in the morning playing this thing. Yeah, at the end of yesterday, all the electronics are working, all the switches are turned around the right direction, whole 9 yards. Pickup is adjusted in height and built, and this way and this way. So yeah, everything's done. I put it through its paces. Um, Long story short, with the two coils together, almost everything sounds the same. They're so close that the phase differences are there. Um, the series parallel differences are they're there, but yeah, by and large the A and B coils they're there, but by and large it all pretty much sounds the same tone, just different volumes. So I'm not overly impressed, to tell you the truth. There might be something to be said about the phase, but really these kinds of things apparently are more designed for pickups where the coils are not at the same physical string location. And so yeah, in the case here you got two coils that are almost identical and almost in the same spot and adjusted almost to the identical height and everything. And so yeah, either you listen to either one, they sound pretty much the same way. You put them both together, they just sound louder. You put them out of phase with each other, and they pretty much cancel everything out evenly. So yeah, it's more or less just a difference in volume more than anything. So so oh, and you put them in parallel, and you lose your volume from not running through twice as much coil and magnet, and you pick up a little top end because you're not running through twice as much coil. Yeah, so just like a humbucker versus a single. So yeah, um, and then you take it and you put it on a like a 7 band EQ pedal, and you almost have a band for every string on the guitar. On some of them, some of the bands affect like the fifth and the sixth string, and you want more for the sixth string, but you don't want as much for the fifth string, kind of a thing. So I'm starting to. First of all, I don't. The guitar plays great. It plays great. I mean, I didn't even notice that I played for over 2 hours last night. It plays great. It just, I just don't like the pickup. It's got a lot. It's got a lot in the mids. Uh, Second through fourth strings are really, really loud compared to the other two. Just straight out the box, the way this thing behaves out of the factory. So yeah. So yeah, I'm underwhelmed. I'm not impressed. So yeah, great guitar. Electronics definitely needs some help. So today I'm gonna go back to trying out other pickups, and I'm not gonna make you watch all that. All I'm gonna do is videotape my findings. I won't. At some point, I'll come back on and maybe read off a laundry list of all the combinations that I tried and the results thereof. So if somebody's interested in exploring those in the future, they got at least they've heard a rumor of what might be true. But yeah, I'll just come back with what I figured out. Some other pickup that sounds better, or some combination of pickups and some wiring configuration that sounds better. And unless I've got some configuration where I've got adequate spacing to get interesting voices from interacting two coils, like a neck and a bridge coil kind of a thing, with a series parallel or phase or whatever, I don't think I'm going to mess with any of that stuff. Or coil tap even. I mean, it's like, because it's convincing me that that more and more you need to go back to having like a pickup on each string and an EQ for each pickup on each string, and then you really can make some great sounding guitars. So I'll be back. Well, I'm not happy with the pickup. Last night I did actually figure out, I changed my mind on how I'm going to finish the guitar. Originally the plan was to do a Shisugi band in purple, where you burn the wood and then brush it back with a wire brush or whatever, and then stain it. But then when I saw how this stuff was already sort of relicked, I decided that it didn't really need the Shisugi band. And then last night it just occurred to me that I recently figured out how to do bursts with dyes on veneers without sanding back, and without the need to sand back. And I could use that technique to do instead of an all purple guitar and stain, do like a dark purple to light purple burst. And then on the neck, and maybe the bars as well, I still got to take this pickup down. What I'd do would be I'd do a dark purple to light purple and then back to dark purple fade on, and then this would probably be just like maybe a dark purple to light purple fade kind of a thing. But I was thinking that would look a little bit more interesting than just a dark purple stain, so. But that's the finish. That's, this once I figure out, get a good voice for this thing, so to speak. So I'm going to tape up this pickup out of the way, and then I'm going to grab the pile of pickups, which is still sitting over on the parts bench there, and check them out. I'm kind of thinking that I might go back to something like that setup where I had 2 single coils in parallel, and I was doing this kind of a thing. Or maybe the setup where I had one here and one here and one here kind of a thing. So yeah, I'm back to that kind of a thing. Putting coils underneath individual strings in order to try to build a better coil voice, I guess you would say. Maybe I should just break down and put like a coil across the 3 basses and a coil across the 3 trebles and plumb each of them through an EQ pedal and then out to the jack. I might try that too. So I'm going through and digging out all the pickups, and I'm measuring them all for inductance, and I'm finding some interesting things. If you remember, this was the hottest single coil that I was using up like at the bridge during the tests. This guy clocks in at like over 7K, and it's actually rated at about 3 Henrys. This is the Filtertron, which, as you remember, was kind of quiet, and it's rated at almost 7K, 6.77, but it's only 1.5 Henrys. So yeah, inductance is really much more pertinent or important, relevant than the resistance of a pickup. So yeah, and there's one here. Where is it? This guy here. It's a 4K, 3.95K. Like a couple of the other ones here are pretty close to it. But this thing is less than 1 Henry of inductance. It's 0.85. So I don't know what's up with this. This might be like real weak or defective or something. I don't know. But I'm going to rig stuff up so that I can try them all out. So got free space here now, and I can just slide in whatever I want and see how it sounds. So, and yeah, so I'm going to finish measuring. I got like 1 or 2 single coils left to do, and then I'm going to do the humbuckers. And I guess I could slap a meter on this thing, but I don't see the point, considering that I don't care for the tone. And then the only other thing I came across of interest was disc piezos. Could try one of those under the bridge, that might be interesting. I'll be back. Hey everybody, check this out. This is the gold single coil that I was originally playing with. I took the cover off of it. South pole. Sorry, that's a north pole up because it's attracting the south side, and it repels the north side. Magnet came loose. Flip it over. Now it's a south pole up. Flip the magnet back over. And now it's a north pole up. So this one is a south pole up. And this one's currently set to north pole up, which means these should be hum canceling in parallel at the moment. So I'll leave the magnet flip this way. Pretty neat, huh? Now I just got to make sure that I've got positive and negative the right way to make them reverse polarity, as well as to make them reverse wind as well as reverse pole. Flipping the magnet makes it reverse pole, and then you got to flip the leads too, and then they'll be hum canceling. So basically you test it one way, and if it hum cancels, that's cool, and if it doesn't, then you flip them around and then it should hum cancel. Well, taking the magnet off the one and slapping it on the bottom of the other one increased this thing from 2.16 to 2.33 Henrys. I'm going to see if it makes a difference in the sound. Yeah, it makes it a little hotter, but it also increases the height of the pickup, so it's like really sort of too close to the strings. Not enough room, you'd have to like route out or something. Oh my god, cool. The lugs are just press in. I just gave it a few taps with the small Phillips and the hammer, and a small hammer. That means I can like lower lugs, raise lugs, remove lugs. I think it's time to play it around a little bit. And there it is. Nothing to it. Just a hole. And a cylindrical lug of metal. This is weird, check this out. So I took out the one lug and everything seemed more or less normal. It was a little less loud on like number 3 string. So I took out the second lug in the middle, and now the thing, it works here, your neck, and it's got a nice, pretty smooth sound, but as you start going towards the bridge, you lose everything. Like, these guys barely work at all. It just totally goes away by the time you get to the bridge. So that would seem to indicate that it's only the 2 center lugs that are doing like most of the work. So I'm going to play around some more. Well, if the middle lugs are doing all the work, then you want to put the middle lugs under the strings that you want loud, and you don't really, and then the outer lugs don't matter so much. Which means I probably want to go back to something more like putting middle lugs under the bass and middle lugs under the treble kind of a thing. I'm guessing. That would also explain why strings 3 and 4 are always so loud compared to your 1 and 6 strings. I wonder if all pickups are like this. They probably are. Strongest in the middle and weakest at the ends. Live and learn, huh? Live and learn. Soldier on. Okay, I tried. No lug on an outside. Where are we at here? Yeah, no lug on the outside. And I tried a raised lug on the outside. With the no lug on the outside, it still picks up the bass. Obviously not as loud because there's no lug. But yeah, so it looks like the two middle lugs are doing the heavy lifting, and then the amount of work done by each lug decreases as you get towards the edge of the magnetic field. So that makes sense, you know. The field's going to be strongest in the center, so. But raising the lug does help. Basically what you're doing is you're lowering everything else, so everything else becomes quieter, and then you just bring this back up again, makes it louder again. And while the lug's no longer touching the magnet, it's still close enough to the magnet that the field hits the lug, and the lug helps project it, so to speak, conduct it further out into the air, that much further than the rest of these. So yeah, so that would seem to say that, okay, your middle guys are going to do all the heavy lifting, and you can put like this down and the end ones up kind of thing. So I guess you would use a combination of, and see, you can only raise lugs. Obviously you can raise screws on a humbucker, or if you want to take humbucker apart, or you got a single coil that has screws in it. But for this, you know, I can only do this because the magnet broke off and I can get at these. The other one here that I was playing with, I was going to try to pop off the magnet, but it didn't seem to want to cooperate, and I didn't want to bust it in half. These things are, it's kind of like ceramic tile as far as consistency goes. It's a little bit stronger maybe, but not much. So yeah, if you think of a ceramic bathroom tile in the same way, they can snap and be brittle if you knock them, or heaven forbid you try to pry and bend on them, they just chip and stuff. So yeah, it's a similar kind of material. So I decided not to have at it with the chisel and press my luck. So yeah, I guess the thing to do is you want to get like the middle lugs under whatever you're trying to emphasize, and not under what you're not trying to emphasize. And the further out from the middle you go, the less effect they're going to have for whatever string they're underneath, more or less. So yeah, I'm going to have to play around with placements and such to see what gives a good voicing. Placements and combinations of pickups. I'm thinking something maybe in like a 2-coil with picking up some treble side and picking up some bass side. Now that I know which part of the coils hear better, so to speak, which lugs hear better and which ones are kind of, or somewhat deaf, or, you know, more or less sensitive, I guess might be a good way to put it, really. Because these lugs are very sensitive, and then as you go out, yes, high sensitivity, medium sensitivity, and low sensitivity, basically. So, alright, I'm going to play. I'll be back. Well, this setup seems to sound pretty nice. Got 2 single coils in parallel. The hotter ones at the bridge and the less hot ones at the neck. The hotter one is going across the first 3 strings, and the neck one is under just the number 6 string. Guess it's now it's time to try out some humbuckers. Okay, I'm done playing around, and no fantastic new discoveries, unfortunately. In the end, it's looking like what's going to sound best, believe it or not, is going to be a humbucker at the bridge with no volume and no tone. Because I was looking it up and stuff, and the volume is going to kill treble. And right now, it's got real good treble, so we'll go the other way. It's got a nice ringing treble. It's got a good solid bass. and everything. So yeah, I mean, I can't really get any combination going that sounds any better than that. So yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, all this fancy stuff is all fine and good, but it's weird, you know. I've been playing around with these things now, and I've made like a dozen experimentals. I almost always end up going with this configuration of a bridge pickup, humbucker, and a jack, and nothing else. And I guess there's a reason why. But now I've actually, you know, gone through and formalized the experiments to prove why. The only exception is one where I put a pickup at the neck just to give it a unique kind of a sound. But yeah, I think overall this is probably going to be the best voicing pickup option I've got here at the shop available on hand for this thing. You know, I could always get online and get like a $300 Seymour Duncan or something like that and make it sound really, really nice. But what can I say? I'm retired. Stock market's down, so that's got to wait. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. I don't know what to do about the pick guard and all the controls and stuff. Guess I got to think about that next. Yeah, it's really looking like the e-ticket ride's going to be the humbucker at the bridge, just going straight to a jack, and then you run it into an EQ pedal. And like the EQ pedal that I was using for testing and getting really great sounds with, it goes from 5K down to 63 hertz. And the curve that I had dialed in was basically, it started maxed out at 5K all the way up. And then it was a 7-band EQ. It's a 7-band EQ. And from at the second to lowest band, third to lowest band, it was all the way down, and it was more or less a straight line between the highest band and the third to lowest. And then the two bottom bands were pegged. And so, and I was discovering that it almost gave you one slider or two sliders for each string to dial in the tone of each individual string. But unfortunately, especially between strings 5 and 6, the second to lowest band, 125 hertz, if you got in enough 125 hertz to give the number 6 string some good upper bass, I guess you'd say, or yeah, some good top end on the number 6 string, then you ended up with your number 5 string having too much. So it looks like the e-ticket ride's going to be the humbucker, just the jack, and then run it into an EQ that's got enough bands that you don't have to like compromise the setting on a band for, you know, well, it sounds good down here for this string, but it sounds better up here for that string kind of thing. So yeah, so if you got something that's like maybe in the 9 to 12 band range should be good enough. I mean, I've had a 31 band stereo graphic EQ rack mount kind of gear in the past, and Behringer, and yeah, that's overkill. I mean, that thing got 31 bands per channel, and I was only using one channel on it, but because it was a guitar. But I mean, 31 bands, it just took forever to set the thing. I mean, I got a 21 band for the home stereo, and to make a first pass on it, I'll be setting sliders 2 at a time in order to turn it more, and so I can set it more like as quickly as a 10 band kind of a thing. So, but yeah, I'm thinking 9 to 12 band EQ pedal after a humbucker and a jack, and I think that's really going to get you just about as good as you can get out of a guitar, probably. I hate to say it, but yeah. Now I got to figure out what to do about this pick guard with all this junk on it I don't need. Looks cool, but pictures are for looking at, guitars are for playing. Oh my god, check this out. This sounds as good as the humbucker. All I did, I put a disc piezo underneath the bass side bridge post. Nice. We pop the humbucker back in. Do a little sound comparison. Actually, I was thinking that I've got no problem with like multi-voice, having like 2 or 3 pickups, and then a selector switch, and then the jack, because that way you don't have any volume trouble bleed, none of this stuff. But you still can get multiple voices out of it, assuming that you can find pickups and locations that are worthy of implementing. This might be worthy of implementing. It depends on whether it's, I mean, it sounds nice, but if it sounds more or less the same as the humbucker, then what's the point? So, of course, then if it sounds more or less the same as the humbucker, then I could go with this instead of that. That might be an interesting way to go. Let me hook up the humbucker. Okay, sound test. This is the humbucker. I'll be right back with the piezo. They're both installed in the guitar at the moment and shinned up and stuff. Okay, here's the piezo. Surprisingly loud. I think the humbucker's got a bit more bottom end. I'm gonna listen to the two of them a couple times here and figure out what's up. Looks like they're more or less the same with a little less top end, or mid-range top end on the piezo. So, guess I'm going humbucker. Just to be thorough, before I dismiss the piezo, I tried it on the treble post. Picks up on the top end, loses on the bottom. If you went both posts, it would be better. You know, 2 piezos, both posts. But it's still losing. It's not as bright as the humbucker. So, yeah. But well. I'm not as bright, maybe a more accurate way to describe it is it has a little bit more mids, so it sounds a little warmer and not as bright. Lower, bottom end of the treble band, I don't know, it's, yeah, a little bit more in the upper mids and a little bit less in the very top treble. So no, not quite what I'm looking for. Just so you know why I'm doing all this stuff with the pickup, I was, like I said, it was pretty much done yesterday, and I was playing it and I was getting ready to do a sound demo on it, which meant I wanted to get kind of warmed up and stuff. I haven't played in years, really, not seriously. But yeah, it was just, I mean, God, at first, until I got it dialed in a bit, it was like, what's wrong with this thing? And then I got it dialed in, and it started working correctly, I guess you would say, or behaving more as expected, but it's still just, it was like, it could be so much better. And so, and all the rest of this series has been taped live, unscripted and unedited, obviously, what with all the mess ups you've seen me go through. For the demo, I was gonna, because of the fact that I'm a rusty player and I can't just turn on the amp and play something cool for you like a number of people on YouTube can. I was not a professional musician. I was a video game developer in the end. I started out in defense engineering, but stuff happens. So, but anyway, yeah. So I was gonna do the demo. I was gonna do the demo as like a separate video, and I was gonna do as many takes as it took in order to get something decent to show you that would show what the guitar could do and didn't have me messing up too much in it. Yeah, so that's what really prompted plus the fact that, it's like I went through all this work and then it sounded like crap. And it turns out I just checked that pickup that I pulled off it. It's the weakest of all the 9 humbuckers I have, so go figure. Alright, I'll be back. And this is the strongest humbucker. This one clicks the scales at 11.67K and 4.86 Henrys. So and it sounds pretty good. It's nice and bright. Surprisingly bright for a humbucker, so. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do about, I guess I'm gonna go foam again. Well, maybe I could go springs. There's so little, I've only got about 2 mil to put a spring underneath those legs though, so I guess I'm going foam again. And then I gotta figure out something about the tilt. Last time what I ended up doing was I took the piece of foam and I made it only about half as wide as the pickup, and then I'd take a screwdriver and I'd shove it from one side to the other until the pickup just happened to be tilting the right way. But it's a very jury-rigged way to do things. So I'll see if I can figure something out. I was thinking maybe you put it on foam and then you had like maybe a screw up at this end that would it would sit on top of, or would sit right next to it and push down on it or something. Or maybe even you put it in, you set it to the right height, and just shove the right size shim under, I don't know. Or maybe you need to come up with a better pickup plate. Make $1 million, there you go. Don't forget to tell the world about your new mousetrap though. Well, since the humbucker's going to be jacked up way close to the strings, a mil or two underneath them, I've had to step up to a longer mounting screw and a thicker piece of foam. And for the moment, I guess I'm just going to go with foam in order to get the pickup. So the idea is you press it down at the 24th, and then whatever angle the string is at, you want to set the pickup so it's exactly parallel to the string, and then bring it up as close as you can, so without the string hitting the pickup and buzzing, and without getting into magnetic buzz, which can be an issue. It's real rare, but it does happen. This video is at almost 35 minutes. Let me end this episode. Okay, I'm in the process of mounting the new pickup. Got one screw in so far. Thank God it's not falling. Obviously I unsoldered the old pickup and pulled it out. This is the lead for the new pickup here. I unsoldered the kill switch. I figured I could keep that. Don't need the volume or any of the rest of this. And I unsoldered the jack. Gonna keep that. And I think I'm just going to take all these switches out and just leave holes for now. And it'll just have the kill switch and the jack. Get it up here in the camera. Yeah. I'm going to leave the kill switch and the jack and just take all these out and see what that looks like. If it's just awful, then I don't know, I can put them back in and they'll all be fake, or I can make another pick guard for it or something. Or maybe just lose the control panel altogether and take the disc off, sand back where there's any glue marks or anything like that, and then just make a small little plate control panel thingy that'll hold just the kill switch and the jack. Maybe I should just do that, but I don't know. I'm going to start by taking out all the non-functioning controls and seeing what that looks like. But that'll be in the next episode, I guess. So until then, everybody have a good one.